Encarnacion, Encarnacion, Encarnacion. Ba-da-lee-da-lee.
All right, welcome everybody. This is the Chill Filtered podcast where we drink whiskey so you don't have to. Today's episode is episode 311, like the band.
Like the
and
band.
Today we're drinking
Amber is the color of your energy.
Amber is the color of your bourbon.
That's right.
Or not bourbon. Today we're drinking Jack
good
Daniel's Tennessee whiskey Coy Hill release.
Yep.
Now, I know we're all excited. There's a Coy Hill release this year. And what we're drinking today is actually the Coy Hill release from how many years ago?
2021.
2021. And this is a 139 proofer. So not quite one of those crazy hazmat ones, but this was graciously provided to us by our lovely friend Max from Whiskey with Max.
Yeah. I got
so
one of
big
those
shout
too.
out to Max. Let's get a ding in here too. Hey, coaster over there too. So anyway, welcome again. Thank you for joining us. And Cole, what are you entry buzzing on?
I have. Did you say business?
I didn't say business. I was going to sneak it in later.
You had a good business.
So I do have a good business. So I guess before the entry buzz, let me say, please, it would help us out a bunch if you thumbs up this on YouTube and left a little comment. Just engage with us a little bit.
That's your homework this week, listeners. Leave a comment. Say something silly.
Respond. So thank you. Thank you. And again, thank you for tuning in. So
yeah, my entry buzz is I still haven't finished this bottle. It's the Oak and Thieves pick for Jack Daniel's single barrel proof rye, 134.3. Hot.
Nice.
Hot, but good.
Nice. I also, of course, am on the Jack Daniel's train. Ooh. Do you not have any bourbons? Or not bourbons, but Tennessee whiskey?
Yes, I do. I got this guy. This is 129.3.
Nice. But you wanted to go rye today, eh?
3923.
Well, as you can hear by my neck tag jangling around over here, I also am Jack Daniels. And this is a Chris Fletcher pick from 2021. Ooh. It's a tiny little 375, so that's cool. And I'm double entry buzzing today because I also recently got this guy over here. Ooh. And I've been wanting to open it, wanting to try it. So I figured I may as well do Chris Fletcher and then this one from Nana's Kitchen. So shout out to Marco, not Marco and AZ Marco, but the other Marco from Nana's
But shout
Kitchen.
out to Marco and AZ too.
Yeah.
No, wait, who's this Marco?
Nana's Kitchen in Tucson, Arizona. Really great Mexican food, really great. They have barrel picks and everything. Good whiskey selection.
My kind of Mexican restaurant.
Very like classic. I mean, home style. You need a wheelchair to exit because you ate too much kind of Mexican food. He did a Pappy flight recently too. He had gotten like one of everything but the 23, and so like. He reached out on Facebook and was like, "Hey guys, I'm doing a Pappy flight. If anybody wants," and it was, reasonably priced and everything.
Sure, he sold out.
Yeah, I didn't get in on that because I wasn't in Tucson that day. But anyway, got 2 picks here for me for the entry buzz.
That's cool. I only went to Tucson, I think, once.
Oh yeah,
which was sad. I went for the interview at Del Bach.
Nice.
I liked it. I really enjoyed my time there. I think it was only once.
Funny energy between Tucson and Phoenix. Phoenix people are like, Tucson, why would you ever live in Tucson? And Tucson people are like, Phoenix, why would you ever live in Phoenix?
I think it's the universities, probably. Since they're rivals.
It's just funny how opinionated it seems like people are about the other city.
Yeah. I'm trying to think, are there any other of those that are like close enough to where, besides like solid university related,
you mean like city rivalries?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like people would like, I mean Philly, New York, but that's not like huge.
Well, now that you've mentioned, universities, that's all I can think of. And Manhattan, Kansas and Lawrence, Kansas, that's where the 2 universities are. And
University of Virginia, Virginia Tech, or even, where I'm at.
Gotta be sports related.
Oh yeah, it's like Wisconsin, Minnesota. They're like huge state rivals. Like whether it be sports or anything, it's like people in Wisconsin hate Minnesota, but they're
really?
basically the same state. But they're not. Don't get me wrong. I lived in Wisconsin, and Wisconsin is better. Sorry to our Minnesota listeners. I just haven't lived in Minnesota yet. So, although I have a lot of family there. My dad's from Minnesota originally, so
nice.
He's a Vikings fan.
Nice.
Damn Vikings.
Man, I'm just not a sports guy at all.
Me
Are you a sports guy? No. Yeah.
I watch 2 sports every 4 years. It's the World Cup. I'll watch the World Cup because like people get all in. Like you will play your heart out in that. And I enjoy when people go all out for their sport. And that's definitely World Cup soccer. But that's every 4 years. And then the other 4 years is the alternating 2 years after that is the Summer Olympics. I like to watch Olympic swimming.
Nice.
That's it. But now that Phelps isn't swimming, I'm like, it's still good, but dude. But I was a huge Phelps fan.
Nice.
Dude,
I just I like don't care who wins. I don't have any like team allegiances, even where I went to college. So like,
same.
I'll watch just about anything, but like I don't like. I'm not invested.
Yeah. When I went to both my schools, both my universities, I never went to a football game the whole time. One time, although at University of Wisconsin-Madison, I did go to a hockey game, but it was playing their rivals, the Gophers from Minnesota, and it was inappropriate how bad the chanting was. Like it was like, are they really yelling that? Are they allowed to yell that? Like, because where I went to school undergrad, I was like, there were rules, and like you'd probably get in trouble if you chanted some of the things I heard Wisconsin chanting.
That's funny. Yeah, I did but I definitely had season tickets the first year at college, and I went to every football game where we'd line up hours and hours early, and we'd be the first people in the gate, and you'd have to sprint up to the opening to enter the arena. I'm failing with words.
Whatever they call it.
And then like sprinting down the stadium bleachers
because there weren't assigned
front
seats.
Row. No, weren't assigned seats for the student section. No. So to sit in the student section and to be at the front row, you'd have to freaking run and don't trip. You're going down all the bleachers. And I'm like sidestepping like 2 bleachers at a time. That was one thing I was really good at because I have like crazy long legs. And then you'd get down to the front row and then you'd just like eye pose, like try to take up as many seats as possible. And it was this just an unwritten rule. Everybody was pretty good at it. If you were covering up a seat, it was yours.
It counts.
So I'd get to cover up like 5 or so seats and
wait until your friends show up.
Exactly.
That's what I do at ABC Drops. I would get stabbed if that were the case.
I know. If only whiskey people would honor that.
Actually, I wouldn't honor. Like I would have a big issue if someone tried to pull a move like that.
No, big time.
Like I would make a scene if someone especially if I was waiting there for hours.
Well, that's what I guess maybe the parallel to that is at like the Fry's events here, where they let you line up 24 hours in advance, and there's at 24 hours, there's at least like 8 people that are right there ready to go. And there have been people in the past who set up multiple chairs. And they're like, this is my buddy's chair. It's like, where's your buddy?
That's the thing is like, if your buddy's not there. So, okay, there's a funny story in Virginia, but if your buddy's not there, good luck. Like I can very much allow a coffee run or a potty run. That I'm cool with. If the coffee is very close. But that's it. Like I will not. So apparently one time I heard this from a dude I was like, he saw it at another Virginia ABC event. He said there were a bunch of chairs lined up and it was just assumed that your chair held your spot. And so I've never seen it that way. I see it as if someone's walking up to it, I will be in my seat or I will be near my seat. I will not be in my car unless it's agreed upon by everyone in the line. You can hang in your car until someone, comes next. And so, yeah, what happened was there were a bunch of seats lined up. No, everyone was in their car. One guy walks up and just plants his seat at the front of the line. And everyone gets all up in arms about it. They're like, hey, like, we've been here. And it's like, yeah, have you been? Why don't you call the cops and see what happens? And so they call in a cop, and the cop's like, you guys weren't here. You were in your car. This guy's front of the line.
Wow.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's what I heard. Mm-hmm.
That's interesting that the cop would have the authority. I mean, no one's going to argue,
or at least
the
enforcement of it. Yeah.
Like, I just imagining what was going to happen. Like, I could like any cop be like, look, I'm just here to arrest somebody if somebody's unruly.
Yeah.
Is anybody gonna punch anybody? Because I'll arrest you. But if not,
yeah, but, it's crazy. And I kind of respect it, because I do agree. Like, and what I do is, if I'm in my car and maybe the other people in line are in their car, we kind of have this agreed upon, like, hey, that's my spot. If someone drives up, I will walk to my seat. Yeah. Like, that's it. That's just the rule. Like, I will, make sure that I'm not just, unless, like I said, unless it's agreed upon.
Yeah, exactly. Tend to your spot.
Yeah, and you can go to the bathroom, maybe. You can get a coffee, maybe, but that's about it.
Yeah, I've heard of the whole chair holding your spot thing in like other states, and every now and then I'll be in a line somewhere, and somebody's like, "Hey, I'm from Oklahoma. How does it work here?" And then people will be talking like, "Oh yeah, people line up, blah blah blah, but you got to stand here." And they're like, "Oh, what weird." And not necessarily Oklahoma, I just made that up, but like where I'm from, like you just throw down a chair and boom, that's your spot. That's just unfathomable to me.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, especially with some big releases.
Yeah,
and like most of the drops, I'm first dude there, first to third person there. So I'm not going to put up with it if I get there at like 6:30 and I got to wait 3.5 hours or more. I've gotten there at like 5 before and had to wait 5 hours, which some people wait 24 hours. It's crazy, but yeah.
I think my willingness to wait these days caps out a little bit over an hour, I think.
Oh, really? So there's
I'm just not in it anymore like that.
Yeah. And then the thing is, you don't know what's going to be there. Like, so I've been let down. Like, don't get me wrong, I love me a stag, but sometimes the stag's not worth 5 hours to me.
Right.
So
there's I told you about the Total Wine last week. There's a grand opening party tomorrow on Wednesday, and I think Brian, David, and I, and maybe Rob are going to get there a little over an hour early, maybe, and see, because we heard they're definitely going to have some stuff. Like I heard Stag Weller 107, which is super rare here. But he did say 107, the GM, when I talked to him.
Can you get one of each?
No way. No way. It'll be one total, because spread the love.
They used to do like Total Wine, at least used to do like one of each.
Yeah. And funny enough, I think this all came out after you left Phoenix, but that was like a store to store rule. That wasn't like a Total Wine wide rule. So there was a period of time where the Santan Mall one would only let you take one of anything, and then but like if you went to Queen Creek, they were still rocking the one of everything rule. Nice. Yeah, crazy.
Yeah, I remember one time I got like I think I got two different koshers. I might have even gotten 3 koshers, one of each. I think I did get all 3 koshers, and I think I got an Elmer T. Lee and a Colonel Taylor small batch or something like that in one thing. It was great.
The last time I saw, the last time I got that caliber of stuff, my parents happened to be in town. Nice. And we were actually like getting ready to leave to go somewhere else. And I was like, I had called Total Wine, and they were like, yeah, we got some allocated stuff. And I was like, sweet, I'll be right there. And so I was like, Mom, Dad, we're going now. And so I go in, and that was when one of the earlier times when they had changed it, and they were like, "Oh no, you can only have one." Nice. And so I took the Elmer T. Lee, but I went out to my car and I was like, "Dad, here's what you got to do. You got to go in there, and there's a tube one, but don't get the tube one that's a small batch. You got to get the tube one that's a single barrel."
Oh, gotcha. That's funny.
Yeah. So anyway, that's so forever now in my mind. E.H. Taylor single barrel reminds me of my dad.
Nice. That's great. Yeah, that happened to me when my parents visited. I got one Jack 12 and 2 Jack 10s off of one crop.
And then the drink along sample happened.
Exactly.
Yeah,
that was right. Yeah. So, Jack Daniel's putting out some good stuff.
Yeah.
I've never had Coy Hill. Have you had Coy Hill?
I asked for it at a restaurant, and then they came back and said, "Oh, I'm sorry, we don't have that." And I can't remember what I got instead, but that was the closest I ever got.
Nice.
So this will be my first time.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I mean, it came out while I still lived in Arizona. Yeah. So,
do you know what MSRP was on it? I guess that's probably in your history.
70, I think.
Dang.
Yeah, 70.
Dang.
Yeah, that'd be sweet.
Yep. Especially pay $70 and get one of those 145 proof ones.
Yeah. You know, there were even higher ones than that.
Oh, that sounds like I'll
in the history.
I'm gonna get my history here coming up.
Yeah. So why don't we go over to break, and then when we come back, we'll talk about some of the history behind Jack Daniel's and Coy Hill releases. So before we go any further, let's take a break. And we're back. We're talking today about Jack Daniel's Coy Hill special release. This is a 2021 release specifically, and it's 139 proof. Is this single barrel? Like we said before, big shout out to the baller, Max, as in drinking with Max. Or I'm sorry, whiskey with Max. Sorry, Max. Whiskey with Max, if you want to follow him on Instagram. He's a great guy. He's a baller, sharing some of his Coy Hill with us, and he overpoured. That's a baller right there. He overpoured. So basically, Brian had a sample from him, which makes him amazing. But then he poured me 2 1-ounce samples to share with me and Brian, which I'm cool with. And then he did 1.5 ounces. What a baller.
Overpouring on the Coy, man. Who does that?
On something
Max
special.
does that.
Max does that. So this is definitely not our first Jack Daniel's episode on the podcast. We've done many. I'm not even going to mention how many we've done, but we have done many. Everything from Old Number 7 to what I was just holding right here. We've done Jack Daniel's single barrel proof rye. We've done their special release rye. We've done their single barrel proof Tennessee whiskey. We've done their single malt variety. We've done a lot of good things. We've done their twice barreled rye. List goes on. But so we've talked about some Jack Daniel's history before. So today I'm just going to focus a little more on the Coy Hill side. So anyway, Jack Daniel's distillery is located in Lynchburg, Tennessee, one of the most iconic whiskey producers in the world. In fact, I still believe that Jack Daniel's is the highest selling whiskey in the world. Established in 1866 by a guy named Jasper Newton, also known as Jack Daniels. Or I'm sorry, not Daniels. Jack Daniel. It holds the distinction of being the oldest registered distillery in the United States. Some have been around longer, such like, Buffalo Trace, they've been distilling on site since the mid 1700s or late 1700s. But anyway, known for its flagship product, Old Number 7 Tennessee whiskey, the brand has expanded into quite a bit of offerings, including a variety of expressions, each with very unique characteristics. But there are notable notes that you might get on everything. One of the notes I typically get is bananas.
Oh, yeah.
This particular release is part of Jack Daniel's single barrel special releases. We've talked about a few, like the special release rye they did in 2021, or was it 2020? I think it was 2020.
Special release rye was 2022. Oh, I'm sorry, barrel proof.
Barrel proof rye. Mm-hmm.
2020 sounds right.
I think it was mid-pandemic or late of 2020. But they've done a lot of them, and this is a single barrel release. So there's tons of Coy Hills out there. Some might be a lot better than others. Some might be a lot lesser than others. I don't know. But each single barrel is very special, and they come out as like batches of single barrels. They don't blend the batches. It's just they release them all together separately.
The barrel is the batch.
Barrel is the batch, baby. Named after Coy Hill, the highest hill on the distillery's property. The Coy Hill releases are known for their robust flavor profiles and higher than usual proofs. Altitude can mean more proof sometimes, and sometimes there's just honey spots in terms of these sorts of things. But really what it comes down to is temperature fluctuations. That's the big difference. It's not how hot it gets, it's how hot and then cold it gets, like how it just fluctuates. Because then water seeps through the barrel more than alcohol does, and you get a really high proof. Shout out to Chris Fletcher, the master distiller at Jack Daniel's. He's been putting out some really great stuff. That's right. Ding to him. Really great stuff these days. And it goes well above and beyond their standard releases, like Old Number 7 or Gentleman's Jack or something like that. Now, these come in releases, but each barrel is different. So you could see something in the 130s in terms of proof, or some well above hazmat. On their website, they boast a record proof. Take a guess. See how
150?
Nope, higher.
No.
Yeah.
154.
155.1 is their record proof. Yeah. That's
so
hot.
Does that mean there's a bottle out there that's 155 point whatever?
Mm-hmm. There's a few bottles likely.
Crazy.
Yeah. Who knows what the evaporation loss is on something like that? Like how many bottles they got off that barrel. This is a Tennessee whiskey, like Old Number 7. It goes through the Lincoln County process, like everything that comes out of Jack Daniel's. I don't know if their malts do, but I imagine they do. They're single malts.
Yeah, I don't know.
Why stop at Tennessee whiskeys and rye? Why not just do it for everything?
Yeah.
Maybe that's what gives it that banana flavor. I mean, I sometimes get banana off a Dickel, so
I get like a minerality, a little. I get a little like minerality kind of. I always attributed that to the charcoal filtering. Yeah.
Yeah. Dickel, man. They're Dickel's. What do they call them? Like the spire? I don't think they call them a spire, but they're like where they filter through the charcoal.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're called, but they're 12 feet tall. Dickels is
tallest in the nation, right?
Yeah, tallest Dickels in the nation. I mean, tallest, whatever they're called, in the nation.
Let's just call them Dickels.
Yeah, super tall. Where did I leave off? This is likely, and it is. Most of them are aged about 9 years, but definitely they don't list the age statement on the bottle. But they do have actually, like, they literally have the bottled and barreled date. I'm sorry, barreled and bottled date. Either way. Coy Hill Special Release is produced in limited quantities with only a few hundred bottles available from each barrel, making it very highly sought after amongst whiskey enthusiasts, amongst whiskey collectors. Very rare in that case. They get snatched up very quickly, and they on the secondary. What do you think they typically go on the secondary? Like 400 or 500?
Oh, 500 if you're lucky for
really?
For one that's not hazmat.
Gotcha.
You care to guess what the markup for the hazmat one is?
700?
Closer to 9.
What? All right, shout out to Max. What a baller. We're drinking today, 139 proof Coy Hill. Mash bill is 80% corn, 12% malty bees, 8% rye. It's a 9-year, barreled on 8/2/12. I know where I was at that point. And it was bottled on 9/20/21. So 9 years and 1 month. 9 years and a month and a half.
Nice.
Aged on Coy Hill, like we mentioned. Retail $70. It's crazy.
Right. I can't even imagine.
Markup. Yeah, it must be good. I mean, like so here's the thing. Here's some novelty. Is like getting a hazmat big named whiskey. That's novelty. Yeah. But is it good? Is the question. Yeah. So there was a
on Sealbox today, an email went out about a hazmat Nulu.
Oh, interesting.
5 years, I don't know, 10 months or something. And it was like 142 proof. So just over 140. First, to my knowledge, first hazmat Nulu I've ever heard of. I don't know. But, and they had it priced at $200. And when I like checked it later, like, I wonder if it's sold out by now. It had sold out and it was only like 5 minutes later or something. So apparently hazmat triggered enough people to spend $200 on a Nulu bourbon.
That's the thing. It's like Nulu bourbon's risky. Not risky, just not as good as the Rise.
Yeah.
As long as it doesn't taste like grass.
True, yeah. Nulu Rise, good. Nulu bourbons, sometimes good.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, what's it called? 13th Colony's putting out a lot of hazmat stuff.
Right. But Georgia, so
yeah, exactly. Higher fluctuations and humidity too.
Yeah.
So I hope to maybe one day we'll get another chance, because the one we had was hazmat, right? The first one.
Which one? Oh yeah,
we had a bourbon,
single barrel rye.
Was that?
Sorry, no, hazmat? It was rye. The first one that I had sent, it was
it double oaked or something?
Oh, so if you had the double oaked, it had nothing to do with me. But what I have is a 9-year 141 proof rye.
Nice. That's sweet.
Yeah.
We must have done that.
I know you did that. I just don't know if you also did the double oaked at some point.
No, I thought the one you sent was a double oak, so never mind.
Nah. I wish I had one of those, but I do not.
Me neither.
So we poured this dude already.
Yeah, we poured it. We let it breathe.
It's been breathing.
Look at that dark color. Amber is the color of this whiskey.
Whoa.
All right, nosing it up.
There's a smoky thing on here that I wasn't getting on the others.
Yeah.
How'd you do such a big sniff?
I don't know. I'm surprised I wasn't, like, my nose hairs didn't burn.
Does your nose smell anything anymore? I swear.
No, it's burned off. All of it.
I'm
surprised, but like I've had times where it's like, oh, that hurt. This doesn't hurt. Do you get a nose like that? I mean, are you trying?
Yes, I am scared to put my nose too far into this Glencairn. I have a delicate nose.
Your nostrils are tender.
Yeah, I haven't just singed all my nose inner lining off. Anyway, I'm getting like a smoky thing on this, a smoky earthy. And but I am getting way more of a fruitiness off of this than the other two. I wouldn't say that it is predominantly fruity necessarily, but there is kind of like a leathery red black cherry kind of thing going on for me.
Ooh, I just got a wild turkey note off this. The first time I was getting little bananas, but I just kind of got like a Russell's Reserve kind of nose off this.
Man, I forgot about the bananas. I'm not seeing that yet.
Yeah. But the funny thing is that I'm not getting, well, now I am, but originally I wasn't getting too sweet on the nose. But yeah, this is like Russell's Reserve nose, like wild turkey aged nose.
Yeah. So my two picks, my Nana's Kitchen pick is very desserty, sweet, syrupy, and banana, absolutely. The Fletcher pick is like a little musty, funkier. It almost like I would guess that it's older, and not as sweet and more of kind of like a dry oaky leather. The Coy kind of seems like a good mix between the two. Good sweetness with a good oaky leather also. I think it's a good middle of the road on the nose, but I know you just sipped.
It's hot.
We're clipping.
So at the front of the palate, like 1 to 3, it's not hot. But then it just builds. Like my eyes were starting to water with how hot this is. The funny thing is, I think we mentioned it during our break, so I don't think it made the air. But I was saying like 130 proof JD single barrel proofs can read like hazmat. This is close to hazmat, like very close to hazmat, and it is hot.
Yeah,
my tongue was burning.
Wow.
It's good though. I want to dig into notes a little bit the second sip though.
Yeah, I'm getting a lot more minerality off this than off my entry buzzes. The heat is also much more moisture wicking out of my mouth. I think I salivated a ton as soon as I took that sip. I think I just like salivated. Where
it
like
dries out.
Yeah, it really just squeezed. It just rinsed my mouth out. It just squeezed my mouth out.
Yeah. No, I felt the same way. I was like, all right. But also there is a dry, like, I wouldn't call it astringent, but it's like oaky dry mouthfeel to this one, at least at some points. After the second sip, not as much, but I like this. I actually like it a lot. But I was kind of hoping it would like hub it a what and then some. I don't want to, lead it too much on. I think this is actually really good. It's one of the better single barrel proof Tennessee whiskeys from Jack Daniel's I've ever had. I was kind of hoping it would be like, what's up? I don't know how to describe it. Like a little bit more hub to what. I don't want to like say it's like a bad score or anything later, but
right.
The fruity notes are good. It's got it all. It is hot. Maybe too hot to be enjoyed as much as it could be.
Yeah.
But it's still good.
I think what it's lacking is mid-palate sweetness. I wish that there was mid-palate sweetness there. And again, I'm not leading you all up to a point where I give this a bad score, like Cole said.
Yeah.
But just, if I'm trying to be critical about this, it hits on many different levels. It hits on leathery. It hits on fruity. It does have like a banana chip, like a dried banana,
like a plantain or something like that.
I'm not sure I've ever had a plantain before.
What?
Yeah, but it kind of like a dried banana chip, dehydrated banana.
It's like a little less sweet, a little more, dry.
Right, more of just that funky mustiness. But because there's not a lot of sweetness, like something you'd get from a high corn component kind of thing, the spiciness, the heat really takes over, and there's not a lot of richness to round it out. And no, there's not a lot of sweetness to round it out, is what I meant.
Yeah, it is sweet though. I mean, the finish is decent to me. This, I would say, this definitely beats your average single barrel proof Tennessee whiskey, though. What are you laughing
at? I sipped my lower proof entry buzz. Its proof is all the way down at 129.8, and it genuinely feels like I don't know, 105 or something. It's just like because of all, and the finish on the Coy Hill is miles long.
Yeah, it really is.
It just stays so hot for so long. And then now I go taste this like lower proof, sweeter JD pick that I have, and it just tastes like it's already
like
watered
Jack
down.
Daniel's standard. Yeah.
yeah, right.
That's the problem with JD Standard, the old number 7. It is so watered down. I mean, 80 proof is like nothing. So watered down.
Man. There is the mid-palate sweetness there on the picks that I like. It's not a lot. It's not a lot more. If the mid-palate sweetness on the Coy is like a 5 out of 10, the picks are like a 6 out of 10. It's just a smidge more there. So, I could easily believe that variation within Coy barrels, one of them's got to have exactly what we're missing here. One of them's got.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Certainly the 155.1 one.
Oh, yeah, certainly. Yeah.
Dude,
I heard everyone who's sipped that has not lived to tell the tale.
Yeah, exactly. It's literally poison, which it is, but just high concentrated poison.
That's the tastiest.
Yeah, the best of the poisons.
Did you do water yet?
I did. Decent nose, a little more bright and fruity, especially like in the middle of the nose, if that makes sense. Like the mid palates, the mid nose. but I just sipped, and maybe I should have like gave it the old mat job a little harder. But there was a little bit of bitterness, which I wouldn't expect. But it was still bright, still fruity. But I don't think I preferred it to the neat, which I didn't expect.
No, I went way lighter on the water. I only did like 2 drops, and I had a pretty healthy amount of my Glen still. And it is noticeably bitterer. It is noticeably more bitter already. Yeah. I'm not going to add any more water to this. It's just the heat and the bitterness is more prominent now than any sort of like nice earthy note or whatever. And I saw that. If you're watching on YouTube, you saw Cole try to drop a piece of ice into his blend and completely miss.
Yeah. But now I got one. Give it the old spin J, the SJ, the old mat job, making this whiskey mad busy.
Hey, I dropped an ice cube too.
Hey, quick shout out to Willow Dram Pup because we haven't mentioned her in a while, and she made the Whiskey Dizzy originally. She is the founder of that sentence.
The official Whiskey Dizzier.
Yeah. Oh, she dizzies that whiskey, all right. I hope she's enjoying Vermont summer.
Ooh.
But any further than that, and I don't want to dox her. So
how could you not enjoy a nice Vermont summer?
I know, right? How could you not enjoy Willow Dram Pup? She's amazing.
Okay, I can actually Cole sniff this now on the nose. It is not as flavorful as I'd hoped, but it is
still
just
fruity.
Delicious nose on this now. It smells very sweet. You get plenty of oak. You get a good amount of fruit. I'm still surprised at how little banana I'm getting on this bottle in particular. but like I could nose this all day. I could just leave this right here on my nose for hours and have a good time.
This tastes like a standard Jack Daniel's single barrel proof release now with a little bit of ice. I like it. I don't think I prefer it, but it's kind of just a good, yeah. Does it get thicker in your mouth?
With ice, yeah. Well, yes. The viscosity with ice is extremely impressive. It's still so buttery. Yeah, a good amount of brown sugar now. Oaky leather.
The finish though is lacking. It definitely gets a little bitter on the long-term finish.
100%.
Yeah. I like it though. I wouldn't drink it like this though.
No, I would feel like I was gonna get smote by the gods. Zeus is gonna hurl a lightning bolt at me if I ever do this again.
Smoten. Smitten with your smoten. Okay. I liked the neat pour the best, which is surprising. I didn't expect that. I expected it to be just a little bit better with the water. But you never know with like bourbons or Tennessee whiskey what's going to work out the best. Usually it's the neat pour.
This is good. This is
with
the
ice.
I've come full circle. I'm all the way back around to getting that nice like smoky, dank, funky, smoky. Yeah, this is cool.
I never got the smoky, but I guess I can dig that.
Well, some of us just have elevated palates.
All right. I think I have a score. Do you have a score?
I do.
All right. My letter score is A+. I think this is great and very special. Do I expect it to be worth $900? Heck no. I wouldn't even spend $300 on this. Brian would.
Would I? Would I?
I might spend $200 on this for sure.
Nice.
But I give it a 9.2 on my number scale. I think this is great. I think it is very special. But I kind of wish it was a little better, especially based on like the clout and the praise it's been getting. Still good.
Yeah.
And very good. Very fruity. Bananas show up tiny bit. Dry, oaky, but not unpleasant. Yeah, I just have a problem with the like $900, or I guess this one would be a $700 because it's not hazmat.
And to be clear, you're not letting that price influence your score, right?
No. I think 9.2 says a lot. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to go with A. I'm not going to give it that plus. This is a personal preference thing. I can see why people freak out about this. I think it could be the pinnacle of Jack Daniels.
Oh yeah.
So maybe what that means is I'm just not, there is no Jack Daniels that's A+ worthy in my mind, maybe. So sorry if that offends anyone, but the A category here is just straight up very good, extremely solid and well-rounded. No substantial negative comment that can be made. My only negative comment was that I wish there was more mid-palate sweetness to round out the heat, because the tannic, mouth-drying heat was kind of all I got halfway through the sip and all the way through the finish. And there were so many things about it that was impressive, but I just don't want to give it that little extra something.
Yeah. You want to make a bet?
What?
That they have rye barrels aging in Coy Hill right now?
Ooh. Yeah, why wouldn't they? I love
why
that
wouldn't
idea.
They? People love their ryes.
Yeah.
So give it 5 years or less, and we'll see a Coy Hill rye release. Mark my words.
If we're right, they have to send us one.
Yeah, Chris Fletcher, we love you. He seems like a cool guy.
I've never seen him, never met him, never anything.
Seems like a really cool guy. So if you're listening, Chris, we'll get your first barrel pick of the Coy Hill ryes.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a requirement that you have to be a cool person in order to be the master distiller at Jack Daniels.
I'm trying to think of any example of otherwise.
What? Someone who's not cool?
No, I can think of one, but I'm not going to mention them.
I know. Yeah, don't say anything.
Yeah, but I guess they're cool in some people's eyes. Yeah, that's what I'm going to say. Yeah. I'll tell you after this. And
okay,
hit us up on Discord if you want to know my answer.
That'll get people in.
I guess that's that. I 9.2, and you gave it a standard.
A standard.
I like that. All right. Now that we've talked about ratings, let's talk about our next segment of the show. One that we like to call Whiskey World News.
All right, welcome back, everybody. This is Whiskey World News, and today Whiskey World News is being replaced by a segment called "Dude, have you seen this?" So you got the show notes open, right?
I do, yeah.
So, dude, have you seen this? This is the new Maker's Mark wood finishing series 2024. Wow. So it's called the Heart Release. Have you heard of this at all?
Not a bit.
Not a bit. Okay. So I'm going to straight up read this. This is straight off the label, off the front of the Maker's Mark Wood Finishing Series 2024. And it says, for the second chapter of our limited release wood finishing series, we pursue unique taste. I'm having trouble reading this because the number's 2024.
Taste vision inspired by the teams who
craft our handmade bourbon in Loretto, Kentucky. The makers of our makers, if you will, nice. The makers of our markers. In this 2024 release, known as the Heart Release, we have crafted a one-of-a-kind expression that celebrates our team that distills our whiskey. This team is the center, the heart, if you will, of our whiskey making process. This stage in the process serves to guide all other stages, ensuring our taste vision is realized. Fruit forward with caramel, maple, and chocolate notes. This expression features a rich, creamy mouthfeel that is pure delight. We hope you enjoy this one as much as we enjoyed making it, the Heart Release. The code on this, in case you're curious, is BR22A, and it is 112.6 proof. There is no age statement on this at all. So, now on the stave profile on this, it says it is a blend of toasted American and French oak staves. And also prominently on the front, it says that it is finished with 10 virgin oak staves. So oak staves that have never been used for anything else, a certain blend that they do not disclose of French and American. And probably the most interesting thing about this, I guess, in my opinion, is that it comes in their new bottle style.
Similar to their one they did,
cellar aged. It comes in a cellar aged style bottle, and the tag says that it is volume 1 of 5. So they are continuing their wood finishing series, and this is a new, I don't know, chapter, if you will, of their wood finishing series, and it's volume 1 of 5.
Did you notice that the bottle on the right has a different proof than the bottle on the left?
Ooh, what is it?
It looks like it's a 55 point. Oh, yeah, there you go. 55.85 on the right, but on the label it says 56.3.
Yeah, so 111.7. So about a one proof point difference between those. So, but I guess that means this isn't just one massive batch. There are at least multiple batches of this. No idea if it's single barrels. Well, if it was single barrel, they would be saying single barrel on it. Sure.
Yeah. So no, I think I've never seen this. Here's my thoughts about Maker's Mark barrel wood finishing series. Is that, remember that one time where I got a bottle guess right on Matt Madness, and it was wood finishing series from
I should have known you were
never had it before. Shout out to Sean Ciaro though, because he sent me a bottle, and I believe it's in our pool. I think it's in our pool. If it's not,
nice.
It sucks. But I've never actually sipped from it because I set it aside for episodes.
Yeah.
Or the pool.
Nice.
But I've never actually, besides Matt Madness, I've never had their wood finishing series. But I could tell what I was drinking was Maker's Juice, and I could tell it was funky.
Yeah,
and that's why I guessed that and got the bottle guess.
Nice.
That being said, they are funky, not funky. They're just different than your standard Maker's release. I like Maker's. I think Maker's is great.
Yeah,
I think also, I prefer Maker's to some of the other standard release whiskeys. I would take Maker's over Jameson. I would take Maker's over Woodford. I would take Maker's over Jack Daniels any day. Would I buy this? Probably not, unless it's blowing people's minds.
I'm actually not sure about MSRP on this, but I'm willing to guess that it's somewhere around the 80 mark, because that seems to be where Maker's generally prices things.
Did you see it says volume 1 of 5?
I did. Yeah.
Did you mention that?
I did. Yeah.
You did. You totally did.
It's fine.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm intrigued to see what's in the future.
I got the webpage up here, and they do mention something here. The next release, so 2025, will celebrate another story from our people in Loretto. Ooh. So keep an eye out. So they're clearly going for a pay homage to kind of vibe here. I didn't really understand if there was a connection here between what they're crafting versus legitimately directly paying a tribute to a person. But it just kind of sounds like they just want to say hi to the people that work there.
That's cool.
Come out with a new release, I think.
So here's the trivia question of the day. Who owns Maker's Mark? I'll give you a hint.
Yeah?
Look at the picture on the left of the label. What does that remind you of?
Whiskey.
It does. But you've seen pictures like that before.
Dang. Dude, I don't know.
It looks like a Booker's picture.
Ooh.
And it is a Suntory product.
Really?
They own Maker's Mark. I'm almost positive. 99.9% sure that Booker's or not Booker's, Beam owns Maker's.
Well, so does Beam own Maker's? Did Suntory pick up Maker's and then Suntory picked up Beam later? But
that's a good question. I know they are very independent in terms of how they make them. I know Rob Samuels is behind it in a way, and at least his family is. But I believe Maker's is owned by Beam Suntory. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. It is nice. You know what else is nice?
What?
What whiskey would you choose?
What whiskey would you choose is nice. However, today is not Wednesday, and I have not posted this week's What Whiskey Would You Choose.
So there, Tuesday.
We will double up on results some other time, but I do have a question for you, and that question is, in honor of the upcoming chickpea birth, what whiskey would you or did you celebrate the birth of your first child with?
I know the answer to both children, and I will give both children, even though you asked for just the first one. Shout out to Brandon Hunt, founder of Bourbon Charity. What a baller, dude. This guy. So what a dude. Let me just tell you about Brandon Hunt. Heart of gold. Heart of friggin' gold. The first time we actually interacted was I reached out on Instagram, and he was in Chandler, Arizona, when I lived in Chandler. And he basically showed the full lineup of E.H. Taylor. He had every single special release. And I basically reach out jokingly and say, hey, if you ever need help, let me know. And I meant, if you ever need help drinking those bottles, let me know. But then I kind of realized, yes, they are a charity. And so he reached back out and he's like, yeah, if you ever want to help, reach out to me. And I reached out and I was like, heck, I love charity work. And I basically just started helping out with the charity in small kind of ways. Like sometimes it was like literally pouring samples for like people and stuff like that, or like setting up different things. And me and Brandon developed a relationship. But I told Brandon, I was like, I mean, he didn't really open his, bottles of E.H. Taylor too much, but I could tell he was opening some of them, and he had a collection, dude. Like he always had good stuff.
Yeah.
He was the one that introduced me to a few. Like I tried 1993 OFC with him. I've tried like a 2009 William LaRue Weller with him. Dang. I've done the Balmeria with him.
Yeah, nice.
Some crazy releases all together. Like he had a Al Young, I think.
I don't even know what that is.
4 Roses Al Young. Yeah, crazy. Like one of their limited editions that was like,
wow.
Like, yeah. And he had like so many good things, and he's just so willing to share. So like, don't take advantage of him, but like, he's a very generous person. And speaking of generous, he's a very good dad. And I knew that from the start of learning about Brandon Hunt, is he is a very good, intentional dad, and he loves his kids. And when he was literally, I think he might have been the first person outside of me and Heather that I ever told we were pregnant.
Nice. That's cool.
And because I also know we don't have a lot of friends in common, and he wouldn't tell anyone. So he's a very, he's that kind of guy that's like, oh, I'm so happy for you. So we like cracked a bottle at his place. I don't even remember what it was. It was probably like William LaRue Weller 2009 or something like that. And then next time I saw him, we were about to have our daughter, Beck, my first child, my firstborn. And he had cracked a bottle of E.H. Taylor Seasoned Wood, which is my favorite bottle of all time. And so he only had a little left. It was probably 2 or 3 pours at the very most. Like it was like an inch and a half left on that bottle. And he's like, I want you to have this to celebrate your daughter. Crack it, not crack it, but like open it and drink it when she's born.
Nice.
And that was the bottle I celebrated the birth of Beck with. Nice. So that's a very special story to me. And I think it says a lot about who Brandon Hunt is. And check out Bourbon Charity if you haven't before. They're doing great stuff. And you can support a lot of great charities through Bourbon Charity, and every bit of money that goes into their fundraisers goes to charity, 100%, which is really hard to do. Like not even Susan G. Komen has that kind of percentage. That being said, for also Gray, I remember opening Nulu. There was a single barrel rye that shout out to Matt Porter that he picked. Really good rye. That night after Gray was born, I went home and smoked a cigar and drank that, and it was really good together. So
nice.
Shout out to Matt Porter. Shout out to Nulu, and shout out to E.H. Taylor and Brandon Hunt. That's what I got. What do you got?
So what do I have? I have ready for me. I was fortunate enough to be able to obtain a 1 ounce sample of Pappy 15.
Nice.
And so now this is very special for me because never in my life I've ever had any Pappy or any Van Winkle. I haven't had Old Rip. I haven't had Lot B. I haven't had any of those.
Yeah.
So, but I have this 1 ounce sample of Pappy 15. So I will be. I asked, I was like, is it okay to like take this to the hospital? And we enlisted the services of a doula.
Nice.
And she was like, heck yeah, man, people bring everything to the hospital. You can do anything.
Yeah. They're not going to stop you.
I was afraid somebody at the hospital
was going to worry about you.
Like, hey, you can't do that. What are you doing?
So, anyway. You'll learn this. Not a lot of people say this, but it doesn't always happen. It didn't happen with me, but it happened with my brother-in-law twice. They will get a moment sometimes with your wife where you're not in the room, and they'll ask her, do you feel safe at home? Or like, do you deal with any abuse or anything like that?
That's good, yeah.
And so when they see you drinking, they'll definitely ask that later.
Perfect.
But I love that. Did you know that I had a full bottle of Pappy 15 once?
I think you mentioned that, I think.
So, but I was writing my blog.
Yeah.
When we were looking for Eagle Rare 17, we did get Pappy 15. We just didn't get Eagle Rare 17 until a benevolent angel took care of me and got me a bottle of the 2015. So
perfect.
Yeah. I like that question. I hope that I'm not ending the episode, but I hope our listeners will answer that to the best of their ability, whether it was their first child or whether if they continue, what would their choice be now, even if they didn't drink something when they had their first child? Yeah. Try to think. I bet like I'm looking through I'm like going through the Rolodex in my mind. I'm like, Miles Ferguson, he might not have drank it when Rachel was born.
But he could surely go through the thought exercise of what would I?
And like I bet Bryce Burita did, because his kids are pretty young and he's been into whiskey for a bit. But I'm trying to think who else. Like you know who I want to hear from? I bequeath you, or whatever the word is. What is his friggin' name? I know his name. It's just blanking right now. And he's not on Patreon, but he should be.
Should be. He hasn't reached maximum beauty yet.
Exactly. But he is a beautiful dude. What is his name? You know who you are.
Yeah, I was gonna say
he's been a listener for years.
Wait to drop this one to the next episode.
It's gonna hit me later, and I'll be like, oh, it's friggin' dude. Okay, you keep talking. I'm gonna think of this guy's name.
All right. Well, I also happen to have a sample of Lot B.
Oh, so you can compare them.
My buddy Clint, he moved out of town, and I had given him a sample of my GTS because he had never had GTS before. And then just this past winter, he got super lucky at the Fry's lottery, and he ended up getting a Lot B from the Fry's lottery. So he was like, hey, I got a Lot B sample for you because you gave me a GTS sample. So but I purposefully haven't drank it yet because I want my first Pappy experience to be when I am a Pappy.
That is cool. I like that.
And David's got a Old Rip that he's had open for a really long time, but I'm like, no, maybe later, like save me some, but I got to do the Pappy 15 first. So at least I'll be able to try Old Rip. I'll be able to try Lot B, Pappy 15, and I don't know. I mean, 20 and 23, maybe someday. I don't know.
But they're worth trying.
I'm sure they're worth trying, but at the same time, I'm not gonna like go out of my way to make it happen before it just happens like naturally or something at some time.
Dude, I told you the last time I had the 20 year.
Did you like the 20 more than the 23? I couldn't remember.
No, the 23 is good. It's better than I thought it would be, the 23.
Okay.
But the 20 year recently just absolutely rocked me. I was in London.
Yeah.
They just got it on the shelf that day. And I'm like, oh, and it was like 40 pounds or something like that. And I'm like, yeah, I'll throw it out. And I think it was like 35 pounds, British pounds for the 20 year and like 50 for the 23. And I was like, I know it's cool to do the 23, but I always remember the 20 was even better. So I went with the 20. It was great.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a deal. 20 pounds or 35 pounds for, yeah.
Yeah. That was when you got the experimental series, whatever it is.
The Single Oak Project, but that was in Paris technically. So the same trip though.
Same trip, yeah. That was number 16 on that too, yeah.
Yeah, so that was the one I got was 16, and the one that John Hughes shared was 115, and that might have even been better. I still am not sure, but both of those were rock your world good.
That's crazy.
Do you ever we connect, me and you, we connect on YouTube videos, old YouTube videos. Do you know who Julian Smith is?
No, maybe
He's
not.
the guy that does like hot Kool-Aid and like Malk stuff like that. I'll have to send you a video later, but there's this point where there's these two brothers and they're fighting, and one's like, you always try to sell things, and he comes across with a British accent, which you can tell is fake, but he's like, what was that last thing you tried to make? Cinnamon toast and mayonnaise? And he's like, yeah, cinnamon toast and mayonnaise. And he's like, you didn't make a single pound off of that. And he's like, I made a pound of cinnamon toast and mayonnaise.
Great. What made you think of that?
Because I mentioned the British pound.
You're talking about pounds. Oh, that's funny. Yeah. The real backing of the GDP.
Oh yeah, you gotta dig to get, like if you ask me like, hey, what was that reference? How did that even make? And I will walk you through it. Like it's always.
I'm impressed that you remember, because that's the kind of stuff that I'm like, I don't know why I say this thing I say, but I know I've been saying it for like a decade.
You know what happened today? We were at dinner and my wife said something. She's like, "What's that from?" And I'm like, "What's what from?" She's like, "No way." And I'm like, oh, you mean like, no way, no way, Jose, unless you want to. And then we break our vows together. Encarnacion, Encarnacion, Encarnacion. Anyway, I won't bore our listeners any further than that. But
we did it.
Nacho Libre reference.
We finally made a Nacho Libre reference in this episode, so we can finally close out now.
Yes. I hope our listeners didn't drop off already.
Well, I hope you know what we're drinking next week.
Oh, I do. And I hope you're going to be excited because it's Brian's birthday this next week, and we're going to record right before his birthday. If not, maybe not on his birthday because you're busy on your birthday.
Well, we're going to figure it out. I hope that Ben Klepsik knows that we love him. We almost went a whole episode without mentioning Ben Klepsik.
That might have been a record.
Whew, close one.
Whew, we love you, Ben. But wow, I'm like, yeah, we never mentioned him once this episode. That's crazy. we would have had to our episode or our podcast would have exploded if we did.
I know, right?
But I hope that our listeners also feel the love besides Ben Klepsik. But most of all, listeners, I hope that our love of whiskey lifted your spirits.
Hot. Nice. Hot, but good.